it after Rabin, it's fine. But just give it to Roger. Give it to Roger. Yes, tzedakah for the shul. To make out of this new barley, the Minchas HaOmer, it was a very big spectacle. All the people near Yerushalayim would come, right when Yom Tov would end, the Kohanim would go out, 3 Kohanim with sickles and boxes, and it would be a big event. They would say, we can pass this to... Oh, you have a Gemara, Lior? No. Yeah. They would say, is it night yet? Is it Shabbos? If it was Shabbos, is it Shabbos? Should we be cutting? Should we put into the box? And they would ask each question 3 times. Everyone would say yes 3 times. And finally, should we cut? Yes, cut. Why such a big deal? To prove the Tzedukim and Baitusim wrong. Because the Baitusim would say that since they take the text so literally, the Torah talks about counting the Omer mimacharat HaShabbat, on the morrow after Shabbos, they would say, no, you don't cut the day after Yom Tov. You don't start counting the day after Yom Tov. You wait till the Sunday. Whatever Sunday is soonest to Yom Tov. It could be, if Yom Tov is on a Thursday, it would be a couple days later. If Yom Tov is actually on Monday, it'll be a while later. But whatever Sunday is soonest, that Sunday is when you cut the Omer, and that Sunday is when we start counting Sfiras HaOmer. That's what they used to say. And we wanted to prove them wrong. So the Gemara says, okay, fine, we want to prove them wrong. What's the pasuk, in fact? So we quoted a brisa with a whole series of opinions. And now we're on another brisa with another series of opinions. What's the source that the Omer is done on the day after Yom Tov? So we'll start again with this brisa. It's, I guess, almost like 10 lines up from the bottom. This is brisa number 2. The verse says, you should count. That's the fact that it says, that means each person has to count. Since it says on the morrow of the Shabbos, it really means the day after Yom Tov. Maybe it means the day after a Shabbos, namely a Sunday. So Rabbi Yosef Omer, the source why it's not a Sunday is Harei Omer, since it says Tispru Chamishim Yom. You should count 50 days. That means however way you're counting, it's always going to be 50 days. The 50th day is going to be Shavuos. It's not going to be that some years 52, other years 53. If you're going to say we start counting the day after the Shabbos, literally the Sunday, so it could be longer. If it's going to be the day after Shabbos Bereishis, sometimes you're going to be counting 51 days. Sometimes it'll be 52 days till you get to Shavuos. Sometimes it'll be 53, sometimes 54, sometimes 55, sometimes 56, sometimes it'll be 56 days. So that's why it can't be that. It must be the morrow after Yom Tov, not the Sunday after a Shabbos. Question?
How would it ever be more than 50 days?
Because if, let's say... No, because you start counting from Sunday, so from Pesach until Shavuos is going to be more than 50 days.
But you're not counting more than 50 days.
Good. That Gemara is going to point out that's one of the problems with this opinion. That it's not such a great proof because you could give that question. All right, next is what we had gotten up to yesterday. Rabbi Zev Reichman says, Eino tzarech. I don't need that source. I have a different source. Harei Omer, it says, Tispar lach. The verse says, Shiva Shavuos Tispar lach. We saw a similar proof yesterday. So it's saying you shall count for you. That means Sfira Tzliya B'Bezdin. Who's lach? That's the court. It means the counting is done by the court, and it's really, it's saying each individual counts, but we need the court for the counting. Now, so if we need the court for the counting, it means you have to look to the court, see what day they set up to be Pesach, and from there we start counting. That means that we're not counting from the day after a Shabbos or Sunday. We're counting from the day after Yom Tov. So that's the Shabbos Bereishis. So that excludes the Shabbos of the creation, namely Sunday. Just for Yosef B'Chaladim, because that's something counted by every person. Every person knows when Shabbos Bereishis is. Rabbi Yossi said, Mimachras HaShabbos, the day after Shabbos means Mimachras Yom Tov. It means the day after Yom Tov. Mimachras Yom Tov, you're telling me it means the day after Yom Tov. Maybe it is a Sunday. So think about it. Does the Torah say the day after the Shabbos in Pesach? It just says Mimachras HaShabbos. Right? It just says the tomorrow after the Shabbos. If you're going to say that the tomorrow after Shabbos means literally a Sunday, you don't know which Sunday it is. The whole year is filled with Sundays. How do you know this Sunday? The whole year is filled with Sundays. So how do you know it's this Shabbos? So stay v'doke is a Shabbos. So therefore, go out and find which Shabbos are we referring to. How do we know which Shabbos? Okay, and if you don't like this answer, I've got another answer. Says Rabbi Yossi. Nemra Shabbos lamata. It says Shabbos in regards to Pesach. Machas HaShabbos. Nemra Shabbos lamala. And it says Shabbos in regards to Shtei Alechem, in regards to Shavuos. It says Ad Mimachas HaShabbos HaShvius Tispu Chamishim Yom V'Krav Mincha Chadasha, and it says by Pesach L'Svartim Lachem Mimachas HaShabbos. Amala Halan, so just like in regards to Shavuos, Regel Tchilas Regel. Right after the 7th week, you have the beginning of the holiday. You have Shavuos. Afkan, so too in regards to the Omer, Regel Tchilas Regel. When is it that you're going to be counting the Omer? Right after a holiday. In other words, right after Yom Tov Rishon Shel Pesach. Another idea in this price, Reb Shimon Elazar says, I'll tell you the source that we are counting the Omer on the second day of Pesach and not on a Sunday. Omer, one verse says, Sheishas Yom Tochal Matzos. You should eat matzos for 6 days. Omer, another verse says, Shivas Yom Matzos Tochelu. For 7 days you should eat matzos. It's a contradiction. Do you eat matzos for 6 days or do you eat matzos for 7 days? The answer is that the verse is to teach us this very point. Okay, how does it work? Matzah shiyat yachal ochla shiva min achadash ata yachal ochla shisha min achadash. The point of the verse is there's a certain matzah that you can't eat for 7 days, but you could eat it for 6 days. In other words, the new grain. If you're going to use the new grain to make matzos, then you can eat it for 6 days, but you can't eat it for 7 days. Because the first day of Pesach you couldn't eat, but the second day of Pesach you could eat, because at that point already the Minchas Omer would have been brought. So that's what's going on here. Why does it say eat matzahs for 7 days and it says eat matzahs for 6 days? What it's saying is there's certain matzahs you can eat for 7 days, matzahs from the old grain. There are other matzahs you can only eat for 6 days, matzahs from the new grain. And that's the source that the new grain is only 6 days, because when are you bringing the Karban Omer? You're bringing it on the second day of Pesach. You're not bringing it on the Sunday of Pesach. You're bringing it on the second day of Pesach. So that's the source.
We are allowed, according to this, to make matzot b'Pesach.
Yes. Yes. No, you have to be careful.
It's dangerous. That's the problem. They told me I can't make chametz. I asked many years ago, and the rabbi told me that you dare make chametz.
Right. It's dangerous. But they used to in the times of the Gemara. They used to make Pesach. They used to make matzahs.
We're not that good anymore.
We're not as good anymore. That's exactly right. Okay, so now another brisa teaching about this pasuk, or it's actually the continuation of this brisa. So we went through many proofs. I think it's 5 or 6 here, that the day of counting and the day of bringing the Omer is not Sunday, even though the language of the pasuk is Mimachras HaShabbos. But here Shabbos doesn't mean Sunday. Here Shabbos means the Yom Tov of Pesach. Either Hekesh, words. All right. Now let's go on to other words in this pasuk. Miyom aviyachem tispru. From the day that you bring the Omer, that's when you start counting Sfiras HaOmer. You count every night then, from then on, until you get to Shavuos. So it says the Brisa, Yachol Yiktzar V'Yavi. Maybe, okay, you've proven that the day after Pesach you have to cut the new grain. And then you have to bring a Minchas HaOmer. But maybe maybe you count whenever you want. Maybe you don't have to count that day. You can count some other day. just after the bringing of the Omer, then you start counting. But you can count maybe a couple days later, that's when you start the count. It's up to you. Tamaloma, that's what the verse goes on to say, Mehachel Chermeish Bakama. From the beginning of the harvesting of that which is standing, of the grain standing, Tachel Ispor. At that point you start counting. Okay, so that means you have to count from the second day of Pesach. Then I might think that you cut the new grain. The Yispor, you count Sfiras Omer. In terms of bringing the Omer, you bring it whenever you want, maybe a couple days later. That's what the verse says, that you're counting from the day that you bring it, that you brought the Omer that was waved. It tells you that you bring the Omer on the same day that you begin counting, which has to be from the beginning of the harvesting, which means that you start counting and you bring the Omer and you start harvesting all on the same day, the second day of Pesach. If it's all from this source, from the day that you bring, that's when you should count. Maybe you harvest because of a hachel chermesh. V'yispar, and you count, and v'yavi bayom. But you only count and you bring the Omer the next day. In other words, you harvest. Maybe you do it all by day, not at night. That's what the verse says. Sheva Shabbos Tamimos Tiyena. You have to have a total of 7 complete weeks by the time you get to Shavuos. So to have a complete week, that means you're not counting by day, you're counting the night before to have the full 24 hours. When do you find 7 complete weeks? When you begin your counting in the evening. Asks the Gemara another question. Maybe you cut down that night. V'yavi, and you actually bring the Omer at night. V'yispor balayla, and you start counting at night. Omer, again, going back to the verse says, Miyom aviyachem. From the day that you bring, that's when you count. So he's saying, you're bringing by day, not that you're bringing at night. Okay, so what's the conclusion out of all of these sources? Ktsiro sfira balayla, the cutting is done at night. The beginning of the count is at night. V'ava bayom, and the bringing of the Omer is by day. This is the brisa. So we had 2 brisas. We had one big brisa yesterday with a bunch of opinions, and now a second brisa today with a whole other series of opinions, all to tell us that the Baitusim and the Tzdukim are wrong. Even though the Torah says, Mimacharasa Shabbos, on the morrow of the Sabbath you should count, what it really means is, on the day after Yom Tov Rishon, Shel Pesach, on the second day of Pesach, you harvest, you start counting, and you bring the Omer. Amar Rava said, when I look at all of these brisas, Hulu Islu Pirchi, a lot of these opinions have questions that really disprove them, as David pointed out. Bar mitarte tanoi basroi. The exceptions are the last 2 tanoim. Baby masnisa kamaisa, that's true in the first brisa. Baby masnisa basraisa, that's true in the last brisa. The last luhu pircha, the last 2 opinions in each brisa can't be disproven. Okay, so now let's go through all these opinions and disprove them. We'll start with the first. If we're going to learn from the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan and Zakkai that we said yesterday, Yochanan and Zakkai says, Tispru Chamishim Yom, you're going to count 50 days. Then it says, Sheva Shabbos Tamimus Tiyena. You're going to count 7 complete Shabbosos. That means you're ending with a Shabbos. So it means it's not days. The answer is, if you're started on Sunday, then you end with Shabbos. If you're not starting on Sunday, you end with Chamishim Yom, 50 days. If that was his point, I'll tell you something else. The reason for these 2 psukim is for something else. The reason for the 2 psukim was the idea of Abaye. So Amar Abaye says, when it comes to Sfiras HaOmer, mitzvah l'mimni yomi, mitzvah l'mimni shvui. There's a mitzvah to count days and a mitzvah to count weeks. We say today is the 8th day of the Omer, which is 1 week and 1 day. We have to mention the week plus we mention the day. Why? Because one pasuk says 7 complete Shabbosos, and the other pasuk says count 50 days. But it's not that the 50 days is to teach me that sometimes you're going to end up in the middle of a week, and the 7 Shabbos that sometimes you're going to end up with Shabbos. No, the point is to teach you something else. You're supposed to count weeks and you're supposed to count days. All right, in Rabbi Lezer, if you're going to hit the sources, Rabbi Lezer's proof, who said, again yesterday, that since it says Sheva Shabbos Tispar Lach, 7 weeks you will count, as we saw also in the beginning today. Lach means it's up to Bezdin. That means it's not based on Shabbos, it's based on Yom Tov, because Yom Tov is in the hands of Bezdin. Or if you're going to say the source is Rabbi Yoshua, that just like Rosh Chodesh, you know when you're starting, so too, when it comes to Sfiras Omer, you have to know when you're starting. So that means you have to start with the first day, not that you're starting on Shabbos, because Shabbos can change based on the year. But it's still not a proof. Who says that we're referring to that the start date is the first day of Yom Tov? Then would be Yom Tov Achron Kai. Yes, you need to have a certain start date that's consistent every year, but maybe the start date's not Yom Tov Rishon. Maybe it's Shvi Yishol Pesach, the seventh day of Pesach, which is also a Yom Tov. And yes, we have to look at Bezdin, so then we're looking at at Yom Tov, not at a Shabbos. But again, maybe the Yom Tov is not the first day of Yom Tov. It could be the last day of Yom Tov. It could be Shvi Yishol Pesach. But Rabbi Yishmael, the Drash of Rabbi Yishmael, who says that we learn the Karban Omer from Shtei Alechem, or Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, which we learned today, who said that it says Shabbos about the beginning of the counting. It says Shabbos about the end of the counting, so that means that they both have to be the same. That last Lu Pircha, that there's no disproof. All right, now going to today's Brisa. If we're going to say, based on Rabbi Yehuda, who said that from the fact that it says Chamishim Yom, it means Shavuos always has to be 50 days after Pesach. Not that sometimes it'll be 52, or 53, or 54, or 55, or 56. No, Havamin, I might have thought David's point. Right? If you want to say 56 days, it's still you counted 50 days. 50 days besides the 6 that you waited till you started to count. If it's from the idea of Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, learned it from the fact that it says Shiva Shavuos Tispar Lach, it's up to Bezdin. 7 weeks you will count. So you have to look at when Bezdin made the day, not Shabbos, because Shabbos is not made by Bezdin. Again, reminded of Yom Tov Rishon Koi, who says it's referring to the day that Bezdin makes, which is the first Yom Tov. Then would be Yom Tov Achron Koi. Maybe it's referring to the day Bezdin makes, which is Shvi Yishol Pesach, also a Yom Tov. And Rabbi Yossi Nami Chazi Lepircha. Rabbi Yossi also has this problem. Rabbi Yossi says, Mimachos HaShabbos can't be the day after Shabbos, because you have lots of Shabbosos throughout the year. How do you know which Shabbos it is? It must be it's the day after Yom Tov. Yeah, but maybe it's not the day after the first day of Yom Tov, it's the day after the 7th day of Pesach, because that's a Yom Tov. So therefore, Vainu Takam Avod, that's Rabbi Yossi himself says, and I have another reason. But the last two explanations, there's no problems with that. Gufa, we learned before in the Brais, Amar Abaye taught, mitzvah l'mimni yomi, mitzvah l'mimni shvui. There's a mitzvah to count days, and a mitzvah to count weeks, as Firas Omer. However, not everybody did this. Rabbanan de Rav Ashi, the rabbis in the yeshiva of Rav Ashi, manu yomi, umani shvui. They would count days and count weeks, and they would count Firas Omer. But Ameimar, mani yomi, v'lo mani shvui. Ameimar, when he would count Firas Omer, he would just count the day without the weeks. Amar, he explained, Zeichel HaMikdashu. Nowadays, we don't have a Beis HaMikdash. So really, we don't have a biblical mitzvah of counting Sfiras Omer anymore. Because the biblical mitzvah of counting Sfiras Omer is with the Omer. The day after, once you bring the Omer, then you count. But we don't have an Omer, unfortunately. So therefore, why are we counting? Just Zeichel HaMikdash, to remember the Beis HaMikdash. Oh, well, if it's just a memorial, we don't have to do it the right way. We can do just a little bit. We can just count the days without counting the weeks. Okay, now we get to the next Mishnah. Again, going back to the excitement of the bringing of the Omer. Now the Torah, when it describes the Omer, the Torah uses all sorts of words. The Torah says, in chapter 2 of Vayikra.
I'm sorry, Rabbi.
Yes.
Says if this thing with the Omer, so why do we make a bracha and everything?
If it's Zeichel HaMikdash,
Right.
that's also a reason to make a bracha. Even a Zeichel HaMikdash deserves a bracha. For example, we shake lulav 7 days, also just Zeichel HaMikdash. We make a bracha 7 days.
But this
Yeah.
is mitzvah taseh, no? Tizkeru lachem.
Right, but that's only with the Omer. If you don't have the Omer, then not.
Yeah.
Now the Torah describes the Karban Minchas Omer in chapter 2 of Vayikra. V'im tzakriv minchas bikurim laHashem. And if you will bring a mincha of bikurim laHashem. What does that mean, a mincha of bikurim? It means it's from the first grain. Aviv, it just ripened. And then all these other beautiful adjectives. Kalui ba'esh, toasted in fire, caramelized in fire. Geresh, broken up, carmel, and it's caramel grain. Takriv es minchas bikurecha. That's how you will bring the offering of your first. So lots of interesting adjectives. We'll see what that actually means. Now the Mishnah. Tzaru, after they cut down the new barley, v'nasnu bakupos, they would put it into boxes. Heviyu la'azar, they bring all of this grain, huge amount, 3 sa'im, or sometimes 5 sa'im, into the azara of the temple. They would light a lot of fires in the temple to be able to see what they had to do. So, 2 opinions. At what point would they caramelize it? Now, caramelizing it is by toasting it in fire. According to opinion number 1, hayu mahavin oso ba'or. First thing, right when they bring it in, they would put fires up and they would pass it through fires. They lekayim bo mitzvahs kali, divri Rabbi Meir, to fulfill the mitzvah of kali, of making it into caramelized. That's the view of Rabbi Meir. Chachamim say no. First, they would do the threshing, but they don't do the threshing with a board. They don't do it with sticks, because it's new grain, which is still soft. They use kanim v'kolchos. They use cabbage. They use stalks. And with that, chovtin oso, they pound this grain, this barley. They don't use sticks so that it not get crushed. Then nasnu l'avuv. Then they would put it into this utensil called the avuv, which was a copper utensil with all sorts of holes. Avuv hayim nukav. The copper avuv was a utensil, sort of like this flat pan with holes in it. Why did it have holes? Kadeshi or sholit bekulo, so that the fire, the flames will rule over all of it, and all of it will get toasted. All right, so then they would toast it in the fire at that point, according to this opinion, according to the Chacham. Then after it was toasted, after the grains were toasted, shatchu ba'azara, they would spread it out in the azara, va'aruach menasheves bo, and the wind would now blow away the chaff. Then they'd bring into the azara a special millstone that was used to grind up peas. Nasnu l'reichayim shel grusos, and they put the barley into this millstones, the reichayim of the pieces. And then they would grind it, then they would sift it many times. They would sift the flour 13 times. They would sift it with 13 sifters. Then they'd have something really, really nice. Okay, that's the soles that's going for the carbon. What do you do with everything else? Hashar, all the leftovers, nifta, they would redeem. And then and anybody would be able to eat it, because it would no longer have kedusha. However, that other flour and grain and chaff, the other stuff that's redeemed, if it's made into a dough, once it becomes a dough, you have to separate challah, because when it comes to the mitzvah of challah, giving challah to the kohen, it's the dough that creates the obligation. So once it was made into a dough, they give the challah. However, upatim and meiser would be exempt from meiser, because meiser, the obligation of giving the 10% to the Levi and 2% to the Kohen, meisros, that obligation is created by the miruach, by the smoothing out of a pile. When you cut all the wheat, and you pile it up, and you smooth out the pile, the smoothing creates the obligation. But here, when the pile of wheat was smoothed out, it belonged to Hektesh. It wasn't redeemed yet. So when Hektesh does the smoothing, it doesn't create an obligation of meiser. However, Rabbi Akiva machayev b'chalu v'meiser. Rabbi Akiva says the same way it's obligated in challah. The leftovers are obligated in maestros. Does he hold that the smoothing is not the point of obligation? We'll have to see. The Gemara will have an explanation for Rabbi Akiva. Says the Gemara, Aviv, the verse says Aviv, say Aviv. That means it has to be the spring. It has to be the beginning of the harvesting. Then the Torah describes this minchas bikurim. The mincha, the first mincha, is kali ba'esh, toasted in fire. Malami, that teaches her Yisrael mahavin osa ba'esh. The kind of mitzvahs kali divri Meir says that means that right when they would bring it into the azara, the Jews would make these big bonfires and put the grain into the fire to toast it, to make it dry. However, what's that? Then right, according to Meir, they first toast and then grind. The Chachamim say no. Ein or lashon kali. The word or is not the translation of the word kali. So what does kali mean? Ela davar acher. Kali means that they put it into a utensil. They put it into the avuv, and then they put the fire through the avuv. Lishnach, read another explanation. Ein lashon kalui ela davar kalil. The word kali means kalil. In other words, it means something made out of light copper. What's made out of light copper? The avuv. Again, that they put it onto the utensil and in that way through the fire. Haketzat, the Bryce explains the view of the Chachamim. Abuv shel klayos hayasham. There was this utensil of those who sell klayos. Klayos are toasted wheats, caramel. Vayamenukav kekavre, who had holes like a sifter. So that the fire gets through all of it and toasts all of the grain. Then the verse continues. It says, Aviv kalui geresh. Geresh means ground up. So any yodea, if we just would have said that, Aviv kalui geresh, any yodeim aviv kaluyim geresh kali. Do we take the new grain and toast that? Or do we first grind the grain and then toast what's ground? Kishomer ba'esh. Since it says Aviv kalui ba'esh and then geresh, if sekainin, it's saying that first you toast it and then you grind it. Then it says Carmel. What does Carmel mean? Carmel actually is two words put together. It's called nutricom. You have two words put together. It means rach vamal. That the grain is still soft, vamal, and it's very easy just by rolling it to separate the grain pieces from the chaff. So now the Gemara goes through a tangent, all sorts of words that are acronyms. The verse says in Malachim, the ish ba mi Baal Shalisha, a man came from Baal Shalisha. He brought to the man of God bread that was from the first, the esrim lechem seorim, and 20 loaves of barley, the charmel bitziklono, and Carmel in his tziklon. Vayomer tein la'am v'yochelu. Give to the people and they should eat. So what is tziklono? Again, it's nutrikin, like the word Carmel. It's a combination of words. The word tziklono is a combination of words. What it means is tziklono stands for bi. Tziklono stands for ba, come, v'yatzak lanu, and he poured for us. Then v'vav v'achalnu, we ate. V'naveh haya, and it was delicious. So sometimes the word bitziklono actually stands for a whole sentence. Well, we have another verse in Mishlei. The verse says, L'cha, let us go, nirveh dodim, let us be filled with affections. Ad boker, till the morning. Nit alsa b'ahavim. Nit alsa, in love. What is nit alsa? It means like this. Nisa v'nitain, let us give and take. That's the nun. Nun taf. Then alsa means v'na'aleh, let's go up to bed. Sa nismach, we'll be happy. V'nischate, and we'll walk around ba'ahavim, in affections. There's another verse. Knaf rinanim ne'elasa. So what does that mean? Knaf rinanim ne'elasa. Again, the word ne'elasa is referring to this bird rinanim,
Ostrich.
the ostrich. No say, the ostrich carries its egg. The oleh ne'elasa, the nun of ne'elasa is no say, he carries his eggs. The ayin is oleh, he goes up. The nischate, and he lowers his egg there. And so that's the nischate, it's ne'elasa, he lowers his egg there. Well, now we have another verse, again, which is a nutricon, which is a combination of words in one word. The verse says in Bamidbar, to Bilam, that the angel says to Bilam, why did you hit your female donkey 3 times? I came out to give him a hard time. Ki yarat haderech linegdi. What does the word yarat mean? It means yaraisa. It's a combination of 3 words. Yarat, the yud is yaresa, the donkey was afraid. Reish is ra'asa, because she saw the angel, and Tes is natsa, she strayed off. So now another idea of what the word Carmel is. The Be'er Bishmael Tana, in the Yeshiva of Bishmael, they said Carmel doesn't stand for rub the grain and it exits the chaff, but rather it means kar malay, that the container is complete. In other words, the chaff is complete, that the kernels of grain have fully ripened. Okay, the last part of today's daf deals with the topic that I mentioned quickly, that what obligates grain in Trumos and Maisros is the moment of miruach. That's the gemar, that's the completion of the formation, or that's the completion of the process of the harvesting. So once the grain pile is smoothed out, that's when the obligation starts. So what did the Mishnah say? Rabbi Akiva said, Mechaya b'chalav v'maisros. Rabbi Akiva says that the leftovers are obligated in challah, because they're made into dough, and in maisros. So what's the explanation of Rabbi Akiva? Rav Kahana said, he thinks Omer Rabbi Akiva, Meruach hekdesh eino poter. Rabbi Akiva holds that even though it was smoothed out, the pile was smoothed out when it belonged to hekdesh before it was redeemed, but the miruach of hekdesh does not create an exemption of maisros. Kavil, the time for Taliesin films later, 6:16. Okay, so a little bit. So Masir Rav Sheishes asked, what do you mean that according to Rabbi Akiva, the miruach doesn't create an exemption? But we learned Mosar Shalosh Sayin Alalu, the leftovers of these 3 sa of new barley that's harvested. Mahi Osin, but what they do with it? Nivta. First of all, they would redeem it with money, and it would lose its holiness. And then anybody could eat it. Then once it's made into dough, they would have to separate challah to the kohen. But it was exempt from meiser because at the time of miruach, at the time of being smoothed out, it belonged to hekdesh. Rabbi Akiva machayev b'chalu v'meiser. Rabbi Akiva says it is obligated in challah and it's also obligated in masros. Amrulos, the sages said, Rabbi Akiva, why are you obligating in maisros? But we know, podeh miyad gizbar, that if anyone redeems food from a gizbar, in other words, if hekdesh has grain and somebody buys the grain back, that should be a yochiach, that should be a proof, shachaya b'chala, that grain, yes, is going to be obligated in a challah once it becomes a dough, upatim in amaisos, and it's exempt from meiser. Then he said, if you're right, miruach hekdesh eno poter, that when hekdesh smoothed it out, it didn't become exempt. So my kamile. So what's their proof to him? Rabbi Akiva disagrees with that. That's the point of his disagreement. Oh, and another problem. Rav Kahana bar Tachlifa or Rav Kahana? Rav Kahana, the son of Tachlifa, asked Rav Kahana, the son of Matatya, who said that the reason of Rabbi Akiva is that when hekdesh does the smoothing out, it doesn't exempt it. But we learned in a brisa, Rabbi Akiva machayeh b'chala v'maisos. Rabbi Akiva says that the leftover is obligated in challah, and the leftover grain is obligated in maisros. Lefi shelo nitnu mos l'tzorech lahen, because originally, when they first bought the grain for the omer, they only bought the amount of grain that they needed for the mitzvah. They didn't buy the extras. So the extras had never been sanctified initially. So that's why it's obligated in Meiser. Because it wasn't that hekdesh was mimareach. Hekdesh smoothed it out and therefore it became obligated. It didn't become obligated. It wasn't smoothed out by hekdesh. It didn't belong to hekdesh. Because it wasn't sanctified. When they originally bought the barley, they were only buying the amount that they needed. They were not buying the extra amount. The extra amount was never bought. That's what's going on. It's a lengthy discussion in the mouth of Rabbi Akiva. The reasoning of Rabbi Akiva is that the money was only given for that which was needed, so the extra amount was never sanctified in the first place. Rava said, it's obvious to me, Meruach hekdesh poter. If hekdesh smooths it out, it does become exempt. I feel Rabbi Akiva, even Rabbi Akiva lokum chayav hasam, he only obligates the leftovers because they were never consecrated in the first place. But if you have grain and when it belongs to the hekdesh, it's smoothed out, poter, it stays exempt from meiser. What about if a non-Jew smooths it out? That's Tanoi. That's if when it was smoothed out, it belonged to a non-Jew. That is a machlokas Tanoim. Okay, we'll continue at that point tomorrow. Rabbi Chanani ben Akasha, Me'aratz HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Sakot Yisrael, V'yichachir b'leim Torah, Mitzvah Shenem Adonai